Good. How is the squad, injury-wise? Anyone coming back? And is there a problem with Destiny?
Yeah, Destiny has a problem. I think he can't play tomorrow. But he played, I'm sorry, because he played a great first half, in the second half as well, but in the first one was great. But we have Spence, Sousa is available to come with us. It's not a big problem. I hope Udoja can be available in the next week in Villa Park.
James Maddison was a substitute last week. Many fans were happy, seemed to give everyone a bit of a boost. Was that to give everyone a boost, or was he available to play some football?
No, he's not available yet. Especially in this week, he felt pain, but not so important problem. Tomorrow come with us on the bench because it's important if he plays or not. It's not doesn't matter. Better if he plays for sure, but also as a guy, as a leader, as a positive guy inside of my dressing room. I want to see nice people and positive people, and it's important also for his teammates.
I'm sorry to give you bad news. The Premier League key incidents panel have ruled that Brian Brobby should have been sent off in that incident at Sunderland. Of course, he didn't get sent off. How frustrating is that to hear that for so many reasons?
Can we play again that game or not? No?
Well,
I think no.
how frustrating is that to hear that?
Yes, but it was clear, but no problem. We have to move on and to prepare the next game in Wolverhampton. It's not an easy game for sure. The last 3 games at home, they made a draw with Arsenal 2-2, and they won with Aston Villa and Liverpool. So they are alive. It's a tough game because they are nothing to lose. It's an important game for us, for sure, but we have to be able to play not too much pressure. And my work from now until tomorrow is to prepare the game of my best, to prepare in the best way, but to play a game, to play football, because these players are very good players. They have important qualities, and they play without too many problems in their head. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Just wanted to ask you about your substitutions. Some Premier League managers, they prefer to improvise on the day and be spontaneous, and some people like to pre-plan, especially if you have a lot of injuries and players coming back. Obviously, your subs, you did 2 in 57 minutes, 2 at 76, 1 at 67. Were they planned? Because the extra time was kind of long and a lot of the players looked really tired by the end of the game.
Well, listen, I thought a lot of time about the Brighton game, but in my plan, Destiny Udoje could finish the game, and then I prefer play with the good physical condition on the players. No, for sure, it's important 5 substitution. We have to prepare a plan before the game, and I usually to prepare every game one plan, 2 plan, 3 different plans, depending of the result and the physical condition as well. But sometimes is a normal situation of football can happen, like the problem of Xavi Simons, no? And the last ball Xavi Simons touched made the assistant for Archie Gray. Is a problem for me, but for every coach.
You just spoke about not playing with pressure. That's really important at this point. But what is important in terms of your style? You're obviously here to win the remaining games. And
No, I don't want to put too much pressure, but we have to know the situation. We can't forget the table. We can't forget we need a win. We can't forget maybe what we have done until now. No, maybe, for sure, what we have done until now is not enough. But anyway, if we win in Wolverhampton, it's not finished yet anyway. There are other 4 games. But I think now we deserve to win a game. Also with Brighton, I knew before the game with Brighton was one of the best team in this moment, actually in this moment in Premier League. And after Chelsea game, everyone understood, no? And we play very good game, and we deserve to win. We were unlucky, but we have to be stronger and to keep playing, to keep going.
So a really important result, as we said, for Nottingham Forest, because it puts them 8 points clear of the relegation zone, ahead of the rest of the weekend's fixtures. And we've spoken a little bit about, will this give them an advantage playing first? Well, clearly they are making a statement by playing first, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. We said at the top of the show, this could be crucial. You know, 5 before they kicked the ball. If they didn't get the result they did, and then it can close. Now the gap's got bigger. They can certainly enjoy tonight, which we're listening at Morgan. They've got a real togetherness. I touched on how many goals we've scored in recent weeks. I said 13, not just because he's got 13, but as a team, they've scored that in the last 4 games. It was 28 before then.
I don't
so
think
it just
yeah,
shows everyone coming together. They've always had this spirit, but being able to deal with Europe as well and the Premier League.
And how big is that for the goals today as well? Gives you goal difference, a massive boost from, you know, obviously Tottenham Hotspur and West Ham. You know, that's so important.
It goes down to goal difference. It's huge for Forest, huge.
Is it now just between West Ham and Spurs for you, Jamie?
I don't think 39... Do I think that will keep you up? Yes. But you have to work on the basis that anything is still possible. You know, West Ham have got You're asking Tottenham to win 4 games, you know, and is that going to be possible? We don't know. Chris Wood said something. You've got to win back-to-back games. That's the key. Everything can change. Get 6 points, and then all of a sudden the whole complexion of it looks different. But Tottenham Hotspur have to go to Wolves tomorrow and win. West Ham tomorrow now will be looking at it thinking, we have to win that home game. And then obviously Brentford, Arsenal. But you think with the way that Nottingham Forest are playing, after that result today, you could tell me they're not going to find a point or 2 with the confidence they've got. That was a brilliant result for them tonight.
Yeah, massive. I mean, I look at the Burnley game for Leeds. If they don't lose that, they stay up. However, if they do, then they play Spurs and they play West Ham. So then if they lose both of them and then the other teams win all of them, there's so many different things that will come into it. But what you have to do is you have to take care of what you can affect, and that's winning your football matches.
It's really hard to predict, isn't it, what's going to happen in the Premier League, because we just never know, do we? However, looking at that Spurs game, Wolves, they need to win that one, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at the Brighton game last week. I thought that was a must-win. West Ham, obviously, drawing against Crystal Palace. I think Spurs got off with one there, so it was only 2 points. They win tomorrow, West Ham lose. It's all ifs and buts. The only thing they can do, they have to beat Wolves tomorrow. Have to.
I think if they don't win tomorrow, if they lose the game, I think you could pretty much say that, because what that will do to any kind of confidence, momentum. You know, that was a real kick in the teeth last week with what Brighton did to them at last minute, and they've got to pick themselves up and go there. And West Ham now, they'll be, because as I mentioned, managers now are looking at everything you can get. And I don't think anybody expected that result tonight. Maybe I thought before the game a point would be a good result, but to go there and completely turn the goal difference in your favour and get 3 points in the manner that they did will certainly have sent shockwaves through the West Ham and Tottenham Hotspur fan base and the players and the manager.
Huge game for Spurs, even bigger given what's happened earlier on this evening, and they probably would have watched that. They would have seen they'll go into this one knowing they need a big response, Clinton.
Yeah, they do need a big response. It's a must-win. If they don't win that, Spurs, I think, could get relegated. That's my honest opinion. I'll make that bold prediction because I just think they're not in no good form. Brighton last week, they played well and they thought they were going to hang on. And Junior Root obviously scores an equaliser, and it was sickening for everyone at Tottenham and is involved in Tottenham. And no win in 2026. I keep alluding to that because that is massive. And you can't keep saying, oh, we're going to wait for the next game and the next game. The games run out. So this Wolves who have been relegated, this is a massive game. But last week against Brighton, I thought Tottenham, there was big signs for there.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed that De Zerbi didn't come in earlier.
Xavi Simons was instrumental in the way that Tottenham played, and I suppose, as Clinton mentioned there, Stuart, the performance was good. They were a lot more impressive than they've been lately. We thought this worldie was enough to win it for them, but Rita got that late equaliser. Key for De Zerbi to kind of get them to use this performance as a springboard?
They're going to have to be quite honest with you, because as Clint said, this game tomorrow is almost a must-win game for them, isn't it? They'll look at this one, they'll think, if we can't beat a relegated side, then the writing might well be on the wall for us. I think the performance may be, as silly as it sounds, more important than the result tomorrow as well. He's going to need a performance from his team. Take the result, the result will come if the performance is good, but he needs a reaction from his players. And Tottenham, out of all the teams at the bottom, I look at, and I have done for months, and think, I'm not sure you're as genuine as some of the others at the bottom, and that is alarming if I was a Spurs fan.
Definitely.
Yeah, well, they would hope to build on that performance. I just wonder for Spurs how they kind of react to what happened last week, because they were distraught. We saw the end scenes
They
there.
were.
And this is...
But look at this, Jules.
Yeah, against Wolves, last 8 Premier League results.
One win in
there.
8. But that's not a good sign, is it?
No.
But you know what? Sometimes you've got to break these records,
Right.
and they'll be open to do that tomorrow, because and Stuart's right, they need a performance. They got a good performance last week,
Yeah.
didn't get the result. They need a performance, and they need the result tomorrow. But that record against Wolves is nowhere near good enough, the last 8 Premier League results. So they need a result. These big players have to start turning up. You know, you look at the Tottenham team and you go through it and you're thinking, why are we in this position? They shouldn't be in this position. I think they made a wrong appointment when they brought in Tudor. Maybe should have tried and got De Zerbi earlier, but now they got cup finals, 5 cup finals from now to the end of the season, and they must win.
So what you're saying is the Spurs team is very good on paper.
Yeah, but anyone can be good on paper, but they have to deliver, and I know where you're going there.
Yeah, football is not played on paper.
On paper,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah.
The Brighton performance, though, and the reason why I was asking you is because they were so distraught at the end of that. You could see that was the first time, really, that we saw signs of a great performance from Spurs. Everyone had been very critical of them and you know, lacking the fight or not really turning up. And the Brighton game, they were very impressive, but the scenes at the end, I'm just wondering mentally how you kind of get them back up after that, just from a coaching perspective.
Well, that was a crushing blow for them, that equaliser at the back end of the game. I was in a press room at a game, and the whole press room was aghast that Tottenham have shipped a goal so late on. A victory was snatched away from them. But what you've got to do as a manager, you've got to look at the squad and say, right, these players are feeling bad enough themselves in the situation they've put the football club in. It's my job to lift them. So every positive you can draw from that. And the positive was you got a point against a Brighton team that went and smashed Chelsea a few days later. So that was evident. They could have put 6 past Chelsea.
Yep.
Yeah, so you've got a point against them. And the performance was much better. The effort levels were much better. So you've got to draw on all the positives.
Yeah, let's look at what's to come for Spurs and the teams around them still fighting for survival. Forest, 39 points. That win really was huge for them at Sunderland. But if you look at their run-in, it's perhaps the trickiest of the lot. What do you make, Clinton, of the run-in that Spurs have?
Yeah, Spurs on paper looks like the one, but don't worry about Forest. Forest have got the points on the board. So even if that run-in's tricky, Forest have had some big performance
So we've
and
been
big
comparing
wins.
kind of West Ham and Spurs?
Yeah, West Ham and Spurs. I think that's where you've got to really be looking, to be fair. And I think Tottenham probably need 9 points out of that if they want to be safe. They need to win 3 football matches. They've not even won 1 this year. So how are they going to win 3? But they got to keep believing. And West Ham have got a bit of momentum, but West Ham have tough games. They can have a lot to say for the Premier League title. I just think Forest's big win this evening, it's put them. If we're going to say Leeds are out of it on 40 points, then Forest are quite close to being out of it.
I just wonder, Stuart, Wolves, who Spurs do face next up, what kind of energy are they going to come with? Because their relegation was confirmed.
Yeah.
Do they down tools? What do you expect from them?
No, I don't. I expect a good performance from them. Since Rob Edwards has come through the door, their performances have got much better. I've covered Wolves on a few times. I was there the night they got that result against Arsenal. It was a hell of a performance by them, and they were worthy of that victory, it's fair to say, especially in the second half. But the bottom line is, if you think Wolves are going to lie down because they're relegated, I don't think they will. They're building for next year. Rob Edwards has come in with a sort of poison chalice. The club are going down, but take charge of it with a viewpoint of building for next year. I think that's exactly what they've done, and I think this is going to be a really tough game. I couldn't call this result. I really couldn't. If Tottenham turn up with a performance we've seen prior to Brighton, they'll get beat.
Yeah, luckily for you, there's still some time before the prediction, so you have time to think. I will tell you, though, that last couple of home games for Wolves, they've got that result you talked about against Arsenal, which was the draw. They've beat Villa and they beat Liverpool.
Yeah.
So, as you said,
So you're just trying to scare Tottenham
it's
fans.
going to be tough. No, I'm giving Stuart some time to think about his predictions.
I know what
That
you're
is
doing,
coming pretty soon.
It's a tough one, that, isn't it? I mean, he's gone in there, he said, look, take the pressure off the players, but you have to win. I mean, Dawes, is he right? I mean, is that it? Is that the status where they are? Yeah. No, it has to win. Yeah, it's a must-win tomorrow. With West Ham taking on Everton, I'll look at that. And they have to better their result, or certainly match it, minimum, because they've got a tough run in and the games are getting less. No wins in 15. They go to Molineux tomorrow, and this is a must-win. Don't care what he says about it. And you try and take the pressure off. It's the players know the situation they're in. You saw the heartbreak when they conceded last minute against Brighton, and they have to take that as a positive. I was at the Sunderland game when Roberto's first game, and he tried to implement a few ways of playing, but it wasn't great. Last week was a good performance. The only downside was conceding so late off.
I mean, on that, this goal was something else. It felt like it was almost the turning point, didn't it? And then, obviously, the worst-case scenario happened. When you look at these players in this squad, do you think of these?
Well, that is the. And there's moments in a game where you see here a mistake from Kevin Danzo, and you let it punish a great finish by Jorginho Ruta. But you look, and in hindsight, premature the celebration. You see Kevin Danzo, and you see the subs going and celebrating. Look, Xavi Simons scored a great goal. I understand that completely as a player who didn't score many. And sometimes you overstep that. And in hindsight, I'm sure he's thinking, wow, maybe I should have just held back a little bit. He ends up getting cramp. They end up being on the back burner. And you just switch off. 77th minute it was. You think we've got 15 minutes to hold on.
Yeah.
And then in a blink of an eye, Pedro Porro goes tight to Minter. He spins behind. Your full-back's out the game. That can't happen. Fine details at that moment in the game. It cost them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, another 2 points on the board. They had a chance to leapfrog West Ham, put the pressure on before they went to Crystal Palace. So it's still all to play for. Still plenty of ups and downs. And obviously even one of Stu's old team. They're 9 points clear, but they have to take on Burnley after they've done the FA Cup. And I think that if they win, then they're clear. Because it can soon change.
Do you think there's something in when you watch almost the Brighton players there, when Brighton equalised that goal, it was this elation of like almost adding to the narrative of Spurs might go down, they might go down. Do you think that might be the difference in this type of race, that sometimes the teams that Spurs are coming up against, they want to be the team that put them down? Well,
Brighton have been in great form. So,
of course.
When you looked at that game, it was always going to be a tough game, and it was a tough game. But they turned up, and that's what they have to take. The reins are off Wolves now. We can all sit here and go, it was inevitable they were going to get relegated, the situation they'd been in. But sometimes now they go, the worst has happened. Wolves are relegated. So they might come out tomorrow and go, look, let's go and try and bring a bit of the big team down with us. And that is going to be the problem for Spurs.
You think it's going to work against them that actually they have been relegated?
Yeah, I got relegated, I think he was 16-17 season. I remember Sunderland being on a disastrous run. Jordan Pickford playing in goal for Sunderland. We'd had a good result the week before. They came to Hull City. They beat us 2-0. They'd not won in I don't know how many games. They were relegated and the reins are off.
Yeah.
So that pressure can be lifted off Wolves. The pressure is all on Spurs tomorrow. If they don't win tomorrow, I only see one outcome, unfortunately.
Is that the same for you, Mark? I mean, is this no draw is good enough? They have to win.
I mean, look, it's not mathematically done. So until it's such time, then it's not done, right? But that's we talked earlier on. Momentum. Momentum's everything. Confidence, self-belief, going 1-0 up, conceding so late. That is a kick in the teeth. yes, there are positives. Yes, there was a great goal. You performed well up until this point, but now it doesn't even matter how they perform, really. It's just about getting points. Now it's a scrap. And I don't know whether Spurs have them in them to scrap. Because sometimes you need to scrap at this end of the table. You have to fight for everything. So goal celebrations, you've got to slow the game down. You've just got to do whatever you can to put the opposition off, to stop them out of their game. Brighton wouldn't have cared about Spurs going down or up. For them, it was about getting another point. Late on a game, scoring an equaliser is huge away from home at Tottenham.
It's almost like they've got to develop those dark arts, that everyone talks about. But I want us just to have take a quick look at these fixtures. Stuart, when you look at these fixtures, who do you think actually does have it hardest? Because it's so easy to go, oh, Spurs, they're up against it. But who's got the worst rub of the green here?
Well, you've left Leeds out of it. That must be a good
Dawson's not happy about that.
I am happy. Yeah. Stu knows that.
Yeah, there was no room for them on the screen. But, looking at that, I think Forest will have enough to get out of it, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think
they've got quite tough fixtures there. Obviously, they've got Chelsea away, Newcastle at home, Man United away, and Bournemouth as well at home. I mean, Dorsey, when you look at it, I guess from your perspective, what are you seeing there that you can take positives for Spurs, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, Nottingham Forest tonight, go to the Stadium of Light. I mean, I don't think they lose tonight, but they've also got Aston Villa in the semi-final Europa League in between them and Chelsea, and so Chelsea, I think, will have a reaction to what's happened, the criticism they've come on. Then you go to West Ham tomorrow, Everton going for European football. This is why Spurs, for me, is a must-win. Aston Villa, I mean, look, it could quite easily come down to the last game. West Ham play Leeds on the final day. Yeah. Leeds play Spurs. I think it could come to these games where you go in, it is winner takes all.
I think it's a really difficult game for Spurs tomorrow simply because of how Wolves performed last week at Leeds. Yeah. Because Leeds come out and blew them away. So you can be sure that Rob Edwards tomorrow is going to make sure that doesn't happen again. Yeah. So I think tomorrow's huge for Spurs, as Dawes says. But I think Forest will have enough to get out of it. I fear for Spurs, man. I really do.
Mark, looking at those fixtures, I mean, do you think it could come down to that final day, maybe?
Absolutely. And for neutral, let's hope so. It makes it exciting. I mean, it's a tough one. It really is for Spurs. For all three teams, it's a tough one. I look at West Ham, I think where they were and where they are now, and you kind of go, they've got the belief, they understand what it takes. Nottingham Forest knows what it takes. Spurs don't. Yeah. And it's up to them to prove everyone wrong. And Wolves is a massive, like we said, massive game. Yeah. And Wolves, off the back of last week, putting in a good performance at home is really important for Robert Andrews as well. Or Robert Edwards, sorry.
Dawes, just quickly on West Ham, they found that run of form almost at the perfect time. I kind of feel like sometimes with sides like that, it looks like from the outside perspective, that one player just needs to hit that moment, and it was Crescencio Somerville, maybe a Mavropanos. What have you made from them? Have they shown enough for you to go, wow, they could do this here?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it wasn't too long ago I was looking, they were a distant at the bottom, and I look at a result that might have turned their season round and given them a little bit of belief. Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah. Last minute goal, Callum Wilson pokes the ball into the back of the net and win 2-1. And then they're gone, we've got something now. We've got closer to them, we bring them in, we've been away from home. Big performance, and Disasi coming in. Yeah, Mavropanos, I mean, he gets goals. He's man of the match for the last 2 out of 3.
Yeah, it's been crazy,
outstanding. You've always had Jared Bowen, who's been incredible. Tati Castellanos coming in January. Pablo coming in, and Somerville, who Stewie knows very well, was brilliant at Leeds United. He's come back and found form. So you talk about hitting form at the right time when you're dead and buried. That was West Ham. And they've just found something, and that belief when you listen to Jared Bowen.
They've had time to, right?
Yeah.
That's the key as well. They've had enough games to find it. Because it wasn't great to begin with under Nuno, right? And it's been a gradual burn, and then all of a sudden they hit their stride, and they've really found rhythm. And now they've got their head above the water a little bit. This is the danger bit. Yeah. It's not done.
No, and then you look at Paquetá leaving as well. You sort of go, right, we've all come together as a group. A player that we always talk about in the Premier League, so influential, so good. He's gone out the door. Fernandes has stepped up. So the team's pretty settled, and they're finding a form, and they've got some belief. And sometimes, like you say, they were finished. Yeah. I thought West Ham were done and dusted, and they've certainly found some form.
How key is it then for Spurs to then make sure that someone that is an exciting player, can get the crowd up in terms of Xavi Simons, that he has to start these games.
Yeah, I've been calling it for a long time, even under the previous manager, Thomas, when he was in, and then Igor Tudor for his 5 games. And he didn't start the first game for Roberto De Zerbi, and I was really disappointed, but he came in last week, played just off the left. He's the creator.
Yeah.
And they've lost so much of that in the attacking third. You lose James Maddison, you lose Kulusevski. Like, Dominic Solanke's working his socks off, but he's only as good as the service that he gets.
Yeah.
So, for me, he was a must-start. Tell's been coming off the bench. Kolo Muani, I mean, they've not got abundance in creativity in there. They haven't. They go with the 3 in midfield, but you've got to score goals to position the rim.
I think that's crucial as well as a player. You're looking for that bright spark. You're looking when you're in a dogfight and when things are hard. You're looking at your teammates and you're going, who's going to be the one to go and give us that? When I was at Leeds, it was Pablo Hernandez. That's who we always looked to. And you know, you look at West Ham, the players Doss has mentioned. Forrest is Gibbs White.
Yeah.
Who is it for Spurs? Xavi Simons is obviously the one. So you've got to play him.
Okay, well, Doss, you're leaving us now to head on to the Friday